Hi friends, welcome to my channel, and this is Windows Server 2019 training video tutorial, and this is third video in this series. And today in this video I am going to show you how to install Active Directory on Windows Server 2019. So basically we are going to do the first Active Directory server installation in this video, and later on we are going to add more domain controller on this infrastructure, and we are going to add also like core servers and read-only domain controller in this infrastructure. So this is third video where we are getting into the Active Directory installation first time in this tutorial. So basically this is my infrastructure which I am going to use in this demo to create the first server in this tutorial, which is going to be our domain controller and DNS server. So this is I'm going to use the same server which we have installed in my last video, and we are going to do the basic configuration, and then we are going to install start with the installation. So this is my machine which we are going to configure here in this video. So I'm going on this virtual machine now. So this virtual machine, you can see a brand new which we have installed in last video. So Win2K19 DC01, and before getting into the installation I'm going to do some basic configuration which is required to configure install the Active Directory. So the first thing, we have to have a manual static IP address. So I'm going to assign one IP address here on this NIC, and I'm going to call it like IP address, going to give IP address 192.168.0.201, and the subnet mask will be 24-bit, and I'm going to give default gateway, and on the primary DNS I'm going to give it this this machine IP address, and then secondary I'm going to give the Google global DNS, which is 4x8. So IP address configuration is done. You can see I got the internet also. So manual IP address configuration is done, so this is good. And the second thing, we must need to rename this server before going to the start the installation. So I'm going to rename this server as Win2K19 DC01 and OK. Also you can give some like here example description name, so you can put the description what you want to put. So this is good. So I'm ready to go ahead and reboot this machine. So I'm going to restart the machine. So basically also if you want, you can disable IPv6, but it's on your your choice. If you want to disable, you can go ahead and disable IPv6, or you can like if you want to have a domain controller on IPv4 only, then you can go ahead and disable IPv6. So it's totally upon you. So the machine is rebooted. I'm going to hit Ctrl-Del and log into this server. So I'm going to refresh it to see everything is green on the my server manager dashboard. So I'm going to start this update orchestrator service manually. So everything is green now. Also you can go ahead and disable the internet security enhanced security option for administrator if you wish. And as I said, you can disable IPv6, or it's totally depends on you. So I'm going to disable IPv6 because I don't want to have a domain controller working on IPv6. So this is good. So what we have done, we have renamed this server and rebooted, and we have configured this manual static IP address. Now we are good to go and install this Active Directory role. So add or remove feature from server manager manage button, and then before you begin you can skip this, but this is recommended. You have administrator password strong network such as static IP address configure, and Windows is updated. So if I go here, you can see I have passed my machine. So there was no update. Last check is today, like 10 minutes ago. We are fully updated, so we are good to go from all three aspects. Click next. And then Active Directory is a role-based installation, so we need to select role-based or feature-based installation. Click next. And this is our server, Win2K 19DC01, so click next. And then we have Active Directory Domain Controller Services. If you see here, Active Directory Domain Services store information about the object, like it's going to give you all the information what is it. So install, and this is going to add some extra feature which is useful to manage Active Directory infrastructure, like it's going to install a group policy management console, it's going to install a Active Directory tools. So this is good. Click add and features and click next. And then if you wish to install any features, I'm going to skip this and click next. And this is Active Directory service, and you can also integrate with Azure, so you can learn here. So click next, and this is going to give a confirmation what it's going to install: Active Directory Domain Services, and these are the tools. So we are good. Click on install. Now this installation is going to take few seconds to get the installation done for this Active Directory Domain Services binary. So this is going to basically install the binaries in the machine, and then we are ready to promote this server as a domain controller in our infrastructure. So we'll see how we can do that. So we need to wait for a few seconds here. So almost 70% completed. So you can see the server name installation is started. So you can see installation succeeded, configuration required. So promote this server as a domain controller. So I'm going to promote this server as a domain controller. So we are going to have a three option here: add domain controller to existing domain, or add a new domain to existing forest, or this is the option we are going to set up a new forest, a brand new forest. So I'm going to select the root domain name, which is I'm going to install Victor Infosol .local here, which is given here, Victor Infosol .local, and we are good. Just verify you are putting the correct domain name, because you cannot rename it once it's done, installation is completed and the server is promoted as a domain controller. So you need to make sure you type the correct name which you want to promote, Victor Infosol .local. So click next, and this is going to give you the what is you are going to select the forest functional level or domain functional level. So by default it's going to give you like forest function level. You can have 2000 or 2000 R2 domain functional level also. So I'm going to make it to 2012. So later on we will add 2012 server in this domain, and we can have a domain controller which can work on Windows Server 2012 operating system. So it's depend on your requirement what you want to choose here. So I'm going with the 2012. So we have some legacy options to add 2012 server in a domain controller as a domain in this domain as a domain controller, or you can add an in a forest also. So specify the domain controller capabilities. So it's going to have a DNS server also, and global catalog. This is the first server in our domain, so it's definitely going to have a global catalog server. And read only is not showing because this is not first domain controller never can be a read only domain controller. So now I'm going to type my directory service restore mode password. We are going to do some stuff on this also. We are going to have a dedicated video how we can recover our server from directory service restore mode. So that time you need a password when you are going to use directory server restore mode to restore your domain controller. So you have to make sure you keep the password in safe place. So good, and click next, and it's going to create some delegations for DNS. It's good. So now it's verifying the NetBIOS domain name. So might be it's going to take the Victor Infosol. So it will take up to 15 characters. So Victor Infosol is going to be our NetBIOS domain name. So click next, and it's going to give you the path where it's going to save the database folder, log folder, and sys volume. So you can definitely change it if you have another dedicated drive for keeping the Active Directory database. If you don't have, you can go with the default installation. So I'm going to click next, and then this is going to give you all the information what you have gone through in this wizard. And if you want to see the script, you can also see the script what it's going to do. So it's going to import the module ACE deployment, install AD DS forest, and then it's going to create path, folder, domain name, domain functional mode, forest functional mode, installation DNS is true. It's going to install the DNS. So this is the script which is going to run in backend. If you want to save this script, you definitely can go and save this script as a like PowerShell script. So you have an idea, like you can say DC promo script, and you can save it in PS1. So it's going to have your PowerShell script. So this is good, and now we can click on next. It's going to check some prerequisites here. So you can see here the DC promo is going to save, and you can edit it with a PowerShell ISC. So you can see what is the script it's going to run in backend. So we are good, and you can see all the prerequisites check passed successfully. And next click install to begin installation. So we are good. Click on install button. And now this is going to install Active Directory, promote this server as a domain controller, and make this a primary domain controller of this infrastructure, this forest, which is going to be our like victorinfosol.com. So you can see now it's installing the DNS, so waiting for DNS to install, and now it's configuring the group policy management console. So this installation is going to take around 4 to 5 minutes if you are going to install a domain controller on a first time. So let's wait for some time, and once the installation is completed, it's automatically going to reboot this machine, and then we are going to come, this machine is going to come with a as a primary domain controller infrastructure. So you can see the installation is completed, and the server is successfully configured as a domain controller, and now it's going to reboot our computer within a few seconds. So now you can see it's rebooting. So let's wait for a few seconds here to come up this machine. So now after reboot, this machine is going to be our primary domain controller for the victorinfosol.com, and this is going to hold all the 5 FSMO role, which is a backbone of any Active Directory infrastructure. So we'll see, just need to allow some time to this machine to get the configuration done. So now you can see applying computer settings. After installing the Active Directory domain roles, it's going to take some extra time to get the login screen, because it's going to initiate all the services which is required to act this server as a domain controller. So typically it's going to take much time as any other server. Domain controller is going to take some extra time to boot up. So now we are at the login screen, and I'm going to hit Ctrl-Del, and then you can see victorinfosol/administrator. So this machine is promoted as a domain controller, so we are good. So to verify this, just going to put some icon on my desktop. So you can see you cannot put the desktop icon once this machine is promoted as the domain controller. And let's verify the IP address. So mostly it's going to change the DNS for this machine. So we have to check the DNS. What is DNS? Configure DNS. So you can see the DNS settings has been removed. So we need to make sure we put the correct DNS information once again. So after promoting the machine as a domain controller, you will lose the DNS settings after reboot. So this is good. And now you can see this machine is added to domain controller domain, which is victorinfosol.local. So this machine is promoted as a domain controller. And if you go here on, you can see under the tools everything is there: Active Directory, users and computers, Active Directory, site and services, and domain trust, everything. And you will see also group policy management console, everything is there. So you can see the first, it's going to be a default domain first name site name, so I'm going to rename it, call a site as a India, and then if you go here you will see your first DC, which is Win2K19 DC01, which is a type of global catalog. And you will see victorinfosol.com, and then you have everything is there. You will see one domain controller, and you will have users folder, so you can go ahead and create few OUs if you want. So I'm going to create OU called India. Under the India, I'm going to create few other OUs, like this is going to be for users, this is going to be a for servers, this is going to be a for, you can say, groups, and the last one is going to be for workstations. So we have created few OUs here, and now you will see you have a group policy also applied here, which is by default group policy is going to be your default domain name. If you want to add any group policy, you can go ahead. So I'm going to add one group policy here for firewall, so I'm going to call it like firewall, and for this setting I'm going to disable firewall for domain network. So here I have right click and edit, and then I'm going to and computer configurations, preferences, policies, Windows settings, and then you have a security settings, and here you will see Windows firewall advanced settings. So here you can go ahead and disable your firewall. So under here we have a firewall, so I'm going to disable my firewall for domain. So domain profile I'm going to put off, and inbound connection allow everything, and outbound also allow everything. So this is going to be disable our firewall for domain infrastructure, and I'm going to create some inbound rule also, like domain Active Directory domain services. I'm going to allow connection, and then I'm going to allow file and print sharing for inbound, and then I'm going to allow WMI also. So these are the some basic thing which you have to allow in a domain infrastructure through the firewall. So I'm going to create outbound rule also for Active Directory services to allow. So allow connection, you need to make sure in outbound you have selected allow the communication connections, and I'm going to allow file and print services, allow the connections, and then I'm going to allow WMI also. And one more thing I want to allow, which is ping. So I'm going to create one custom rule here to allow ping. So allow program, I'm going to select ICMP v4, click next, and then I'm going to call it for domain, allow for domain. I'm going to call it like ping, this policy rule. So this is good, and now we have This is done. We have a policy. You can go here and verify the settings also what we have configured in this policy. You can see like inbound rule, outbound rule, everything. So this is good. So we have configured, we have promoted this server as a domain controller, and also you can go and verify. Where's my command prompt? Okay, you can launch the PowerShell. So in 2019 they have removed command prompt here, so you can type here and go and type cmd and you will get the command prompt, and netdom query fsmo you can run. It will show you the all FSMO role, 5 FSMO role. Where is it? So you can see schema, domain master, PDC, RAID and infrastructure master, everything is running on DC01. So this is all about how we can install the Active Directory on Windows Server 2019. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe me for more videos, and if you have any query, any question related to this video, you can always post them in my given mail IDs. Thank you once again. Bye bye.